Hey folks, welcome to a Balatro's beginner's guide, I guess. So what I'm going to do here today is similar to an ironclad video I did in Spire a good while ago. One of my friends here has done a run of Balatro, self-confessed kind of maybe not a newish player, but a player who doesn't think that they're very good and could use some advice. So he has gone and recorded a run, and I'm just going to be kind of talking over it, basically giving my kind of feedback, pointing out where I think maybe mistakes have been made or where good choices have been made, and just using the video, I guess, as a way to kind of prompt myself to just talk about how I kind of think about the game in general. So just for myself, I have completed the game on Gold Stake twice now, and I have also I'm kind of just working my way through the challenges at the moment just for a bit of fun. So I think I'm on like 15 out of 20 on those challenges. So yeah, listen, I'm not like the best Balatro player in the world, but I think I know enough maybe to comment on a video like this. So we're going to watch the video. I'm going to pause it every so often when I feel like something needs to be said. But yeah, let's let Mike take it away.
Hello everyone. I'm going to record a run of Balatro. Normally I have the music off, so I thought that would be a little bit weird. So I've turned it back on for this. Okay, let's do a run. I'm going to do a run with the red deck. This is not the highest stake I've unlocked, but it is for the red deck. I'm not going to do black stake because the Eternal Jokers changes things too much, and I think the advice I'd like to get will be kind of more basic. So we'll do green stake, which is still harder, but it doesn't like complicate things as much. I'm not very good at this game, and we're going to see why. So, discard 2 random cards per hand played.
Okay, let's just stop it there. So first thing, I really like what Mike did was check the rewards for skipping the binds, and then checked the boss of the antics, for example. Didn't make much of a comment on it. I don't think a comment needed to be made, really. But that's just a really good habit to get into at the start of every ant. Just realizing I'm going to probably pronounce a load of these words wrong because they're poker terms, and I know how to play poker, but I don't like listen to poker. So I don't know, is it aunt or ant? I'm not sure. I'm going to call it ant or auntie. Yeah, but basically it's a nice habit to get into because there are some of those bosses that will absolutely mess you up. Thinking in particular of bosses that will destroy face card runs, bosses that will destroy your suit runs, for example, that will nerf your suits, various bosses like that. The boss at the end that wants you to sell a joker or will disable a joker. So if you're like skirting on and you have one joker or 2 jokers that are really important, or you have all 5 of your jokers are really important, and if you sell one, the whole run will collapse. Those are really good things to know. So I like how Mike initially checked that out. So I'm going to talk about 2 things right now, just to kind of like lay the groundwork, for example, of this kind of early start of the run on Ant 1. So at the start of every game of Balatro, there's 3 questions I need to ask myself. It's the same for every run and every difficulty, to be honest. And the first question is the easiest one. It is basically, how am I going to tide myself over for the next few ants, right? So you're obviously going to be asked very quickly to start scoring scores that your basic hands are going to struggle to catch up with. Usually the first 2 blinds are fine. The boss blind tends to be okay as well. You can kind of get by with no help at all. You need to be a little bit maybe fortunate on the third one, but you can get through it. But very quickly, you're going to realize that you need help scoring highly enough to beat blinds, more so than what your just basic cards and your basic hands will get you. So that's where like jokers most significantly come into play, but also like power ups on your specific cards and tarot cards as well. So you need to answer that question. You don't need to answer it immediately, but you do need to answer it preferably even by the second blind, but definitely by the third one. And if you're really kind of like just not finding anything, which you shouldn't be, but if you're not, you can probably push it into the second ant. But at that point, you really need something to help you out, right? But all I'm talking about here is something as basic as a +4 mults. That's it. You get a foil. Your +50 chips on any card will probably push you through as well. You don't need anything big here, right? There are obviously some really big cards that will tide you through, like popcorn, ice cream, stuff like that. That gives you a massive boost, and then like will slowly fade away as you play through your hands. But like you don't need those big cards. I have picked up a +4 Mults Joker, the basic one, or a misprint, for example. Anything like that will tide you through the early game, especially when we're playing, not on the top difficulty where the score goes up once more. So yeah, that's the first thing. The second thing then is so you have that first thing, and that's supposed to tide you over for probably 2 or 3 ants, depending on how good your kind of tide over Joker is. But that'll protect you for the first 2 or 3 ants. And while you're being protected, you then need to answer the next 2 questions, which are the most important questions and harder to answer, right? The first question is, what hand am I going to like run with on this run? You don't need to like double and triple down into a hand, although it does tend to help, right? Because you obviously, you have jokers that will zone in a hand, but in fairness, there are a lot of jokers in the game that can be used in multiple ways, right? But mostly just the level of your hand as well. If you can get everything synergizing together and you have jokers that work with, let's say, 3 of a kind, and your 3 of a kind is at level 5 or something like that, you're in a really good spot. And but like you can't just like start right now in the first blind and just be like, I want to be a 3 of a kind deck today. That's just not how this game works. And if you go on Reddit and look for advice, you'll see a load of people talk about like what they think their favorite hand is, and it's just not how really the game works. You can't just go in wanting to play a specific hand this run. You need to find out what the run wants you to play, right? And that is, what jokers is it offering? Maybe you get an early planet, an early 2 planets or something like that. Your tarot cards, a spectral deck, for example. There are certain indicators. To be honest, it is usually jokers, but it's not always. It's a combination of everything, I guess, that kind of informs what the type of hand run you're going to be going with. And the nice thing about having that tide over card is it gives you a good few shops to kind of make that decision. Okay. And also don't be afraid, if you pick up a card that you like, I'm not going to name anything because everybody has the different cards, but like say you find a really nice 2-pair card that you really like, and you really like your 2-pair runs, but you're just not really finding, maybe in the next shop there's a really nice like you're getting indicators of a high card run, that card that allows you to play every card that you put in your hand despite the hand together, so it's really good for high card runs, for example. Or maybe you're starting to get really nice straight cards or whatever. Don't be afraid then to just sell that card that you thought you were going to play into that 2-pair card that you thought, this is going to be 2-pair. You have time, is what I'm saying, with your tide over card. You have about 3 ants to kind of start to build this deck together. And it's up to you then to figure out what you're going to go with. What is the shop giving you? And I'll try and point that out as we play through. And then the final one is, how am I going to get my economy going? Economy is extremely important in Balatro, and there are a number of ways you can spice up your economy. You can start gambling with tarot cards. You can pick up a really nice joker. You can just go on pure interest runs and pick up vouchers that boost your interest. You can, have a lot of gold cards and start to kind of play it that way. The important thing to remember, though, is economy is extremely important. You shouldn't be, especially in this difficulty, you shouldn't be in the middle of the game, like say you're in Ant 5 or whatever, and feel like you're always struggling for cash. If that is the case, you are making poor decisions earlier in the shop with your money. Right? You should always be looking to save for interest and then skim off the top, right? So you're always harvesting in interest and making sure that your decisions in the shop aren't just buying things willy-nilly. Every purchase that you make should be informed, and you should remember the opportunity cost of losing that pile of gold, because that pile of gold is making you interest on top of it. So they're the 3 things. You need to get a card to tide you over. You need to figure out what hand you're going to be playing this run, and then you need to figure out a way to boost your economy. So those are the 3 things I'm going to be looking at while Mike plays through, and comment if he is doing it correctly or not doing it correctly. So sorry, I've talked enough, so let's go back to Mike.
Very frustrating one, I find. I'm going to drop these cards. This is very low for a 2-pair. Could just do 3s and queens, I guess.
Okay, so I'm not going to get into the calculations here. You can do it yourself in run info. And to be honest, I'm not going to bring it up and just talk through the calculations because it's very easy to see. But when I look at this hand, it's screaming a full house to me. You have 2 queens, you have 2 3s, and you have 2 2s. And listen, a full house, if you get 2 queens and 3 3s, or 2 queens and 3 2s, I don't know if it's going to get you to 300, but it's going to get you very close. The only mistake I want to point out here is you shouldn't be dumping your 2 2s and keeping a jack, right? Because what you should be going for here is a full house. So one thing I don't like to do, because it doesn't really work, is only discard jack and 5 and keeping the 3 2 pairs, because that doesn't tend to work out for you because you're only discarding 2. What I'd probably do here is discard the jack 5 and the 2 2s, and then look for the full house on the queens and 3s.
Yes, I already have a pair here, but full house would be nice. Full house with queens, maybe, or a full house.
Okay, he gets it anyway. Yeah, that's fine.
Marginally better. And then pretty much anything will get us through now. Yeah, that'll do. Cool.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Perfect run. One thing, I'm just going to mention this because we talked about it on the Slack, but you don't need to be min-maxing for a perfect score on your first blind. It'll get you an extra $1. That's great. You don't need to do it, okay? It doesn't matter. The way Mike did it there was absolutely perfect. No problem at all.
Drop. Okay. So I can either get this one, aces give 20 and 4, or I can look into this. This is okay, but obviously it only benefits 4 cards in my 52 card deck. So I'm actually probably going to open this, because it would be nice to just get something a little bit more far-reaching, or more basic.
Okay, so before he opens it, I think this is Mike's first mistake. It's a small one, but I think it is a mistake, right? If we go back to kind of what I was talking about with the 3 questions, the only thing Mike should be thinking about right now is finding a card to tide him over. I correctly identified that the joker that he was offered, the ace joker, isn't good enough. He's 100% correct there. It's just too specific. Yeah, it'll kind of work as a tide you over joker, but you always need to be looking for those aces. And because he's not running a weird deck with lots of aces, and because he hasn't manipulated his deck with tarot cards or spectral decks yet, he's not going to be able to reliably get aces unless he's just looking for high card runs, in which case the tide over joker isn't going to do the job there. So yeah, correctly, that's really good. Opening the joker packs. Okay, so one concept that I think that took me a while to learn, and that I think is a very valuable lesson, is looking at your interest breakpoints. Okay, I spoke about the economy, and it's probably a good time to start talking about maybe interest, which is something that you always need to be considering every time that you make purchases. So the way interest works is very simple. You get $1 for every $5 that you save, and it caps at $5 per blind. So what that means is every $5 you save, you'll be making $1 back after the blind, and importantly, it takes in the calculation of your total dollars after the blind, right? So say you have you have $4, you go into a blind and you make $6 out of it, it'll then check the interest rather than looking at the 4 that you brought in. That means it caps at $25. You'll get $5 after a blind, unless you start collecting vouchers, which will raise the cap to I think it's 10, and then 10 and 20 or 10 and 15, I can't remember, but it'll raise the cap then. So that means that this is a kind of annoying thing, but it really does help. Every purchase you need to make, you need to then look at how much you now have, how much you might make in the blind, and then think about interest. Okay. The reason I bring it up here is that what you need to start doing right from the very start is start building up your funds. The best way you're going to do that is through a nice economy joker, but a nice way to start is by gaining interest, collecting money from blinds, finishing them as fast as possible so you get extra money from the hands you have left over, stuff like that. When you open a joker pack at the start, right, you are you're taking away from your total sum. Okay, you're not building up that wealth. Is most likely Mike is going to bring it back up to 5, but he could have been now at 10, right? Or he could have been at 10, 11, 12, closer to 15 then going in through. And essentially what you're doing here is you're throwing away your built up economy, the beginnings of your economy, which is about to be built up, for a gamble. Okay, and there's 2 things to say about that. Number one is, first off, you don't need to do it, right? The shop that you had, it didn't give you anything great, but just move on, right? Move on to your second blind and beat the second blind with the cards that you have. And the second thing is, you mightn't get anything here, right? You might just get 2 kind of rando jokers that actually, don't help you in any way. So it's a gamble. This might pay off for him. I don't know what's in this pack, but it's just not something that you need to do. Joker packs in general are, to me, they're not really worth it unless you have a very strong economy. So say you're like towards the middle of the game, towards the end of the game, you have a ton of money and you just cannot find that last Joker, right? You need one more piece of the puzzle. I'll start opening packs then. I'll start burning rerolls then as well, looking for the Joker. And then, or the other way is you're somewhere in the game, whatever your economy is whatever, but you're desperate, right? You know that you're absolutely struggling to beat the blinds and you need something to help. Neither of those are applicable to Mike in this case, so I probably wouldn't be opening the Joker here, but let's see what he gets. Okay.
I really like, so 2 pairs are very easy to make, so this stacks up fairly quickly for like a little bit of malt, but obviously it gives me none immediately. On the other hand, getting 1 discard, it's not bad, but that definitely doesn't give me anything. So I'm going to take that. Yeah,
that's the correct choice. This is like the kind of weird thing about this. So this is a hand indicator Joker, right? So again, going back to those 3 questions, this is the second question. Like, what hand am I going to run this? This is a clear signal to go into a 2-pair Joker. What you need to be doing, a 2-pair run. What you need to be doing now is obviously scaling this Joker. You need to be looking for 2 pairs every time. However, Mike correctly identified that this doesn't do anything for him right now. So this is a kind of a weird thing here where he's gotten a indicator Joker without having a tied over Joker. What he needs to do now, very, very important, is get himself a tied over Joker or turn the 2-pair into a tied over Joker. He only needs to find it twice and then he'll get a +4 mult, and that'll kind of keep him afloat for the next ant or 2. But very important that he doesn't rely on this, in the immediate future. But that's a great pickup.
And then move on. No need to skip the blinds at this stage.
Yeah, I suppose I should talk about this now, the skipping of the blinds. So he skipped 2 blinds here. One, which is the Polychrome, which is a 1.5 multiplier that was on the first hand. And the second one is, I can't remember the name, but it's the +10 mult. Okay, so if it was the other way around, I would probably just skip the first blind, because a +10 mult on any card just answers the first question, right? It literally doesn't matter what that Joker is. You have a +10 on it. That'll tide you over for the next 2, maybe even 3 ants, okay? I think I would skip the poly on the first one. 1.5 is obviously really nice. Those things really add up. And I think where they're really useful is towards the late game. If you just cannot find your X mult, right? That's the multiplier, right? The thing that I always consider is the last piece of the puzzle, right? You built up your chips, you built up your mult, and then you have one last little mult. The poly stuff is really nice because, number one, it can if you have enough of them, it can substitute in if you just don't get an X mult card. But the way I really like it is if you have an X mult, but it's kind of weak, like say it's a ×2 X mult or something like that, and it's those things tend to not do enough. But if you can scatter in even 1.5 mult on another card, obviously just the way that maths works, if you multiply something first and then you multiply it again, it's just really strong, right? And that'll tide you over. So I think it's really nice there. Mike correctly identified that kind of does nothing for you at the start. It might be on a crap card. And the nice thing about the +10 mult on a crap card is it's a +10 mult, right? That'll tide you over for a number of ants. But the 1.5 mult will do nothing for you, or very little for you, until you actually start, supporting it. So you're looking for a card right now to support you you're not looking for the cards that you need to support. Those are for later. So correct. So I probably would have skipped this blind because, well, I don't know. Listen, it's a tough. Maybe I wouldn't have because. Sorry, what I was initially going to say is I would have skipped this blind because I would have got a +10 mult card. I know that +10, doesn't matter what's on it, would have absolutely destroyed the first boss for me, and it would have done. It would have kept me going through the second hand. The only drawback I have of that is you want to be scaling your your pair pants here, Joker, immediately. And I, like we can see right now, Mike has 2 aces, 2 eights. Straight away, he's going to put this into +2. So I actually don't know what I would probably do there. On this difficulty, I'd probably just play this blind and start scaling the pair pants. But just important to note that a +10 on anything will tide you over for a number, and it'll solve that first question for you.
Lovely.
But yeah, that's good. Okay, so one little trick here that I think is important to note is this is not that applicable here. It's more applicable when you know what you want. But for your 2 pair runs, right, or for high card runs, or pair runs, or 3 of a kind runs, or whatever, use your hands as discards, right? So, good example here is I probably just would have stuck in the 2 here, right? The 2 is going to make no difference at all. It's still going to be a 2 pair run. It's a 2 pair hand. It's not going to be counted, but it's going to act as a discard. I'm going to draw 5 cards then rather than 4. And it's just a good way of cycling the 2, right? I probably don't want 2s. Where that gets really strong is I'm doing 3 of a kind runs where I know that I have a lot of face cards. I'll stick in 3 queens and then I'll put in a 9 and a 7 or whatever to try and just get myself more draw. So just keep that in mind.
So with this Joker, I've thought about this in the past where, like, technically you want to get, like, you want to pull quite low pairs.
Oh, no. Okay. What? Sorry, I'm just going to go back there. Why didn't he discard all 5 cards there? What's he looking for? I don't know why. Yeah, you need to be discarding. Did he discard 5? No, he's just discarded 3, right?
You want to pull quite low pairs.
Yeah, no. Discard all 5 there. Maybe he wants to hold a 4 and a 2 just in case he draws a 4 and a 2. But for me, I would be discard. I think he's right. You keep 1. And it's usually your high card. If you're really skilled about this game, what you start doing is you start remembering what you played the hand before, or you start looking. Because like, if you played, I don't know, 3 kings and you have a king here, you're not going to draw a king, right? So you discard the king. But the important thing here is you want to discard all 5 cards. Keep the 2 7s, obviously. Keep the king, because that gives you 5 chances at another king, rather than holding a king, 4 and a 2 and discarding 3 cards, because that'll only give you 3 chances to hit another thing.
Really, like,
but he hit it anyway.
You want to get as many as possible, depending on how much you wanted, like, money remaining. But ultimately, no one's going to make that many 2 pairs. So
sorry, I completely talked over Mike's point there. I just want to hear what he's saying.
You want to pull quite low pairs if you were really, like, min-maxing it, because you'd want to get as many as possible, depending on how much you wanted, like, money remaining. But ultimately, no one's going to make that many 2 pairs. So no, he's right in what he's saying. So basically, he's saying that you want to draw out your blinds, even though you're losing more hands. It's scaling your mult up more, and he's correct, right? So there are cards that, for example, will scale a high card based on, like, you playing it, or for example, there are jokers that will have a mult based on how many times you've played a specific hand. And he's absolutely correct there. There are absolutely times where, I think I just did it yesterday, I was playing a high card run and I was just playing crappy high cards 4 times every blind to scale up the joker that gave me a mult based on how many times I played a specific hand. Yeah, that is absolutely something you should do. The thing that Mike pointed out, and he's correct here, is it's probably not worth gambling 2 pairs over, because 2 pairs are not as consistent as a high card, obviously, or even like a pair. So yeah, I would probably just play the 2 pairs here. You also want to start thinking that, like, your economy is important at this point. So yeah, you probably do want to be getting the bonus from the remaining hands. I think you played this correctly, but yeah, I just wanted to make the point that there are absolutely times that you should be playing bad hands on purpose to scale up jokers, as long as you feel comfortable
about how you're scoring, right? You should never ever be doing that if you're just skirting over the block. If you're, you're just making the score every time. You want to play the best hand then. But if you know that you're in a really safe position, you're in the middle of an ant that you know you'll crush. Absolutely, play bad hands to scale up whatever you need to scale up.
Like,
yeah,
it's not no one's ever actually going to do that. Spectral cards are cool. This would only give me a max of 4 spectral cards unless I added some 6s. I don't really want that.
Correct.
If I reroll, I won't have enough money to buy a Joker.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to get 1 Arcana pack.
Okay, yes, same thing here. Same. I'm not going to belabor this. Same point as last time. This is a pass. You pass this shop. You're in a really good position right now. You scaled up your 2-pair Joker twice. This is a +4 Mult Joker. You will have no problem getting through the boss here. What you want to be doing now is saving your economy for a shop that actually is good. Opening up your Arcana pack. What are you looking for here? Right. The no economy tarots are going to be doing anything here. The double is just going to make your money back. The card that gives you money based on jokers is going to lose you money. You're going to start building, you might get the bonus chips or the mult or whatever, the little bonuses for your cards. Those are really strong. Absolutely. But like they're the second piece of this puzzle, right? You need to get your jokers together first, and then you want to start building up, boosting up your cards. This is not something you want to be doing right now. So yeah, same point as before. This is a skip. You want to get interest now, because if you do beat the next boss, you're going to move up to past 10. You might even move up to past 15, depending on how well you do in the next one. So that'll get you $3 extra. You don't need to be buying tarots here. It's not worth it. Think about the opportunity cost, right? Yeah, so that's temperance. So okay, perfect example. You just burned $4 here for no reason. Waste of $4, and those $4, number one, would have been nice to have, but also those $4 would have been getting you interest. This is a skip. You absolutely skip the shop.
Suits. I don't touch the suit stuff too often because a lot of the bosses have things which are not very good if you have gone too hard on a suit. But I think here, I could just cut my losses, get the money back, and
it's probably what I would do.
Tarot deck, I guess. But I don't know what tarot card I'm particularly fishing for.
Okay, Mike just said it there, right? So Mike knows. What am I fishing for? I don't know. Don't spend the $4 then. Simple as that.
I suppose I would much rather have lucky or bonus, I suppose, or something like that, or malt. Changing the suit just makes it a little bit easier to get the flush. I'm actually going to do that. It means I've lost $1.
Oh, he's opened another one. Oh, Mike. No.
Card, destroy 2 cards.
Oh, no. Okay, so... so this is the first massive mistake Mike has made. It might seem small, but Mike has essentially just burnt his economy for nothing. He'll get a stone card, probably, I would say. That's what I would pick. And the stone cards are nice, don't get me wrong. But you've just spent $8. Now, you've gotten 3 back. So you spent $5 on nothing, essentially. That has helped you in no way. And you didn't need to be helped. You had a +4 Mult Joker. You were fine. You're going to destroy the next boss. You're going to be fine into the next ant because you'll probably keep scaling up this Joker. You do not need to be fishing for this right now.
How stone cards work, so I don't use them. I think they're only good if you have a lot of them. One of the problems with Balatro is that it's a little bit hard to figure out how certain rules behave without just engaging with them. So I don't know, for example, if stone cards score in a different way or if they just score like all other cards. I'm not gonna touch it here.
Okay, I'll just talk about stone cards real quickly here because in this run actually it's particularly relevant. So a stone card is something that just gives you 50 chips when played. It doesn't matter in what hand you play it in. It'll just give you 50 chips. So really nice, for example, in a 2-pair deck. Right, you play your 2 pairs and then you add in a stone card, and then you're just getting an extra 50 chips on top of your 2-pair. Just the best way to think of it is it's very rare you're just going to get 50 chips off a card unless you have a bonus on top of a high card, right? So it's really nice. You just stick it in. You don't need to fit it into anything, which is probably its main selling point. So I wouldn't say it's the type of card that you need lots of. I would look at the run that I'm doing, and in this run, it looks like we're going to be doing a 2-pair run. And I would say, how does a stone card fit into this run that I'm doing? Obviously, if I'm doing a full house run, it's crap. If I'm doing a straight run, it's crap. But a 2-pair run, really nice. 3 of a kind run, really nice. Pair run, really nice. High card run, really nice. So yeah, it's the stone card definitely I would be picking here. Just to talk about the Hanged Man, it's not good for us right now. Hangman is really good if we know exactly what we want. So if we're running a face deck, obviously we want a Hangman to destroy the number cards. If we're looking for very specific cards, for whatever reason, Hangman is good because we can narrow our deck, shorten our deck to make it more reliable. And then there are also jokers. I think there's maybe one joker that scales off how few cards that you have in your deck. So it's nice there as well. And Temperance is just, So to me, this is a clear stone card pick. I don't think Mike is going to pick it here.
Lower cards, I guess, to sort of. But there's, I don't really have a need to get rid of them. I'm just going to take this again.
Just on, okay, so Mike is probably going to realize now that was not worth it. But listen, he kind of got lucky. He got 2 Temperances, so what he just did wasn't as bad as it could have been. But yeah, just talk with the real quick. Yeah, Mike is kind of right. Knocking out low cost cards is fine, but we're running a 2-pair deck, so all you're doing there is you're just reducing the chances of you getting 2 pairs on like other numbers, for example. So I wouldn't be doing that.
And just kind of have got nowhere.
He's correct.
But that's okay. I mean, it's not okay. But
so watch now how quickly Mike is going to destroy this boss by not getting anything.
Pretty straightforward.
Right, so
we've got some malt with our 2-pair.
So imagine Mike did this without spending the dollars on those useless packs.
Doing math live. So let's call this 25.55. It's about 200. Yeah,
don't play straight. Don't play straight. Don't play straight.
This is a question of do I fish for another?
Yes.
Plus 2 malt. Maybe I do.
Yeah.
Maybe I do. Actually.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Again, would not discard that few cards.
I wanted it with the 4, even if it had come up with nothing. So
but yeah, 100% correct there. Just gonna pause real quick to he knows this, but absolutely. You had that boss beaten. So remember what I said about fishing for high cards when you're comfortable space, fishing for the scaling stuff when you're in a comfortable space. Mike was absolutely in a comfortable space. He had beaten that boss with the first hand. Basically, he just needed something small. Absolutely correct to not play the straight there. Fish, you have loads of discards. The only thing, again, I would say is do not just discard those few amount of cards. I would probably discard a few more cards, but yeah.
Kind of stuff in the previous shop was a bit of a lull, but okay. So we've got straights, 100 chips. We don't have any plus chips, so that would be cool. We haven't really modified our deck yet, so straights are not any easier or harder. Or we could get more malt for every tarot card we use. I don't get this Joker very often, but I do use a lot of tarot cards, so I could do that. I've already got some low-level malt being given. What I would honestly do in this situation probably is open the Arcana first. To see if there's anything that might affect some of my other decisions. The Spectral Pack is also interesting though, because one of the effects, or a couple of the effects it will do is destroy all but one of your Jokers, and I currently only have one, so you can kind of get some interesting effects for free. I think we'll do Arcana first.
Okay. Same commentary as before. The reason I said no was at a certain point Mike has to stop just randomly spending money on tarot cards. This one, listen, this one isn't as bad because he has $10 saved up here. So if he does get a doubler, I think it's the Hermit, then it's paid off. But I feel like I'm repeating myself here. But you need to stop burning your economy on just gambling on tarot cards. Now, the only thing I will say is he does have the Fortune Teller. This is a clear pickup for me, right? So you go back to the question here. Mike has solved essentially both questions with one card, right? He now has a tied over Joker with the Joker that he has right now, the Pants, because it's on. I think it's on a +8 right now. That's absolutely fine. +8 will absolutely tide you over for this hand, so you don't need to worry at all about scoring Jokers this hand. And also, he's kind of answered his what hand am I running deck, because he has a 2-pair Joker that he's already scaled up to +8. So right now, I think what Mike, he hasn't vocalized this, and I don't think he quite has. I don't think he thinks this yet because he's looking at the straight Joker. Right now, this is a clear sign that this is a two-pair run, right? And you need to start thinking about, like, how do I make this two-pair run work? And the fortune teller is an absolute gold mine of a card for this, because you now have two scaling mult jokers that you can work, that synergize well together. So you have a two-pair joker and a fortune teller joker that scales off things. So you just need to be scaling your two pairs. You need to be scaling your tarots now. You need to be buying tarots. This will work well with Mike because he obviously likes tarot cards. So yeah, absolutely buy the fortune teller. Start spending a bit of money on tarot cards to buff that up, and you've solved your mult now. So I guess this is then the point that I talk about, like, the actual calculation of the run. I think everybody knows this, so I'm not going to speak about it. But you obviously need chips, you need mult, and then you most likely need a plus X mult together. They all synergize together. That's how you get your score. The important thing to remember here is when you're doing that is you need to balance all three, right? It's one of those things where they have diminishing effects. If you have 500 chips and then you get a card that gives you 600 chips, an extra 100 chips to make it 600, that is worth way less than if you have like plus 15 mults and then you get an extra like plus 5 or something like that. The plus 5 is going to be worth way more because your mult is low, your chips are high. You need to raise the things that are low to help match the things that are high rather than focus on one thing. So right now, Mike has solved his mult issue on this run. He will never have to think about mult again. You just keep scaling your two pair of pants, you keep scaling your fortune tellers, and you need to now start looking about how do I get chips. Okay, stone card would have been really good there, for example, but obviously jokers that will give you chips as well. So that's where Mike's head should be at right now. I have solved my mult question. I'm doing a two pair run. I need to start thinking about how I'm going to get chips. That's what he should be thinking now.
See what we get from this. So mult, random joker, or wild. I think I might take the mult. Yeah, I think this is fine if you can get something out of it no matter what.
I'm not going to go too harsh on him here because I kind of do hate the random joker card because it's very unlikely you're going to get anything that's going to be useful for you. I just want to maybe just vocalize the fact that Mike, I would have wished that Mike had said to himself, oh, this is a plus mult tarot card, but I'm actually okay for mult because I have my two pair and I have my hopefully my fortune teller. So mult isn't really that important to me right now, so maybe I should think about the joker. I probably would have gone for the mult here just because I really don't like the random joker. I think it's not good. But like I'm really hoping at some point here in this shop Mike realizes that mult for him is figured out. He's finished with mult.
If it was like a $2
please pick up the fortune teller.
Okay.
You have to pick up that fortune teller.
One of the harder choices so far.
No.
I think it's quite easy to get lost looking for straights, and I don't have anything supporting me there. I'm going to open the spectral pack and then probably grab this
okay.
joker. Add a gold seal, destroy one random card, add 2 enhanced aces. Okay, this is good, obviously. It's free money, but you know, it's like a 1 in 52. I mean, it's not a 1 in 52, but you know, it's only for one card. This is quite nice because it's adding a pair to the deck. It's obviously making one pair less likely, but it's adding more aces. So I
think that's fine, to be honest.
Yeah, okay. That was quite nice, I think.
You have to pick a fortune teller now. Pick it
so
up.
Now I just need to decide whether I really want this.
Pick it up.
And I don't think I do.
Oh.
I think... What are we at? All club cards are debuffed. I think I'm fine. I don't need like 3 mult, and I don't have like a huge economy thing that's going to like buy me loads of tarot cards. So I'm just going to keep it.
Okay, I've explained this. I just want to maybe put the final point on it right now. You need to think about chips. You need to think about mult, and then you need to think about the X mult towards the end. You know, most likely. If you get an X mult early on and it's really good, pick it up. If Mike picked up the fortune teller, he had 2 scaling mults. Okay, one which is easy to do. It's just 2 pairs, and he needs to be thinking. And he is, in fairness, doing this. He's thinking about like how do I make the 2 pairs more likely to happen in a hand. And you know, with the spectral card, he kind of was like, yeah, this just gives me a pair. So absolutely, he's thinking about that. Then the tarot card. I understand what he's saying about the economy thing, but we're on our fourth blind, and he's already scaled the fortune teller up to, I think, +3. And that's without even him thinking I need to scale up a fortune teller, right? He's already on +3. Okay, yes, he doesn't have an economy going. Absolutely, he's correct in saying that. But like, we're only on the fourth blind here. You hopefully will get your economy going at some point. If you pick up this card, you have solved your mult. It's done. You only now need to consider chips, and then you need to consider then the X mult towards the end. You've figured out your hand. By skipping that, he has not figured out mult yet, because a one scaling mult on its own won't do it, unless he just gets super lucky with 2 pair after 2 pair after 2 pair. But that would have figured out the mult for him. So skipping that, by far biggest mistake in this run by a country mile. That is a game ending mistake. Like, if you're playing, it could be in this run, but if you're playing on the higher difficulties, boom, you're done. That's a huge mistake. You're out. You know, that's the game over. So yeah, big mistake there.
Free rare joker doubles your money. All club cards are debuffed. Okay.
Really good then, looking at the stuff. That's very good. Okay, he's going to keep scaling his mults. Why are we not? Yeah.
Maybe this does beat the whole thing. I don't think it does though. Okay, it does. Probably should have fished for a lower.
Yeah, listen, I would say I'm not going to go too harsh here. It's whatever. You don't need to do this. But yeah, if you're min-maxing, right now you're on a +8, going into a +10. You have this whole ant is done. You figured out it's over. I would probably now at this point start fishing for your lower 2 pairs to try and maybe buff it up even one. But listen, I will hold my hand up and say fishing for 2 pairs is a little bit risky. And your whole run, your whole hand is reliant on you getting a 2 pair, because you have nothing else to support it. So, you know, if you keep discarding for lower 2 pairs and you end up without finding a 2 pair, you might just lose the blind there and then. So I'm not going to be too harsh on that. Listen, but as long as he's going for 2 pairs.
This is lovely, obviously, if you can feed it. We don't have a way of feeding it.
Yeah.
Would really love to have more than one joker at this point. I would say this is... Okay, that's easy. I would say this is, like, not typical to be on anti-2 with only one joker for me. It's not like I'm usually avoiding jokers or anything like that.
Okay, like, this is by far the most best piece of advice I can give, Mike. Stop spending your money. Just stop. You're just willy-nilly buying stuff in the shops. You're not accruing any interest whatsoever. You just, if you stop just buying random stuff in the shops, you'll take off. Like, because you've got a lot of the basics. Like, you've got a lot of the basics down. You understand kind of stuff like that. That is by far right now. I mean, missing the fortune teller was the single biggest mistake that you made in this run, but the biggest flaw I can see right now is just how much money you spend in shops for no reason. You absolutely do not need to just buy a random pack here. Yes, it does help your 2 pairs. I get that, but it's just not worth it. It's you're just spending so much money.
Now, we lost a 3 before. Okay, so I'm gonna take. I'm going to take a jack.
Yep. Fine. Oh, and also, like, you know, if he didn't spend his pack there, he would have had money to skip and double. I probably wouldn't have done that, though. You've a scaling joker, so there's no point doing that.
We made aces and nines last time, right? That will definitely beat the blind this time, so... Okay, let's just not mess around.
Yeah, I actually don't. At this point with the popcorn, I don't think you can fish for lower pair, because just with the multi you're getting right now.
Could spend $3 and get $5. That's pretty nice.
Yep.
Spectral pack. I mean, popcorn's gonna die at some point, so there are some other effects that would be kind of interesting.
I'm not going to comment here because I just keep commenting.
Jokers still.
Don't spend $6 on the Spectral Pack. You need jokers at this point. You need to... I mean, yeah, you can even consider a reroll. I don't hate that choice.
Like a decent chance that a joker would come up. I could get the Celestial Pack.
No.
But, I mean, it's only 3 planet cards.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so just to point out... at this point, I mean, I don't love throwback. You know, you get it. You'll get it to at times too, without hurting yourself too much. But it does kind of hurt you. But just to point out that, like, at this point, if Mike had gotten the fortune teller, he would have had his mult sorted, and he maybe would have had his X mult sorted. You know, there's a world where you pick this card and then you skip every so often and you build it up to a ×2, and all of a sudden you have strong mult, a okay X mult, and then you just need to find chips and the run is over. You've won the run.
So we're on ante 2, so there's a lot of blinds left to potentially skip.
I'm going to call it ante now, Mike, and I'm going to blame you if I get that wrong.
However, it gives us nothing right now. It gives us nothing for the boss. I mean, we're not getting anything for the boss either way, by the looks of it. But
I don't mind that so much. If it does give you nothing for the boss, but you don't need anything for the boss. You will destroy the boss with what you have.
Spectral Pack, the only really bad thing that we could get would be like... well, there's a couple of bad things, but like, is if it got like a suit switch and it switched to clubs. I think I am tempted to take this.
I only kind of don't like this now because you haven't sorted out your mult yet.
I have a feeling that the issue at the moment is that I'm fine. Like, there's nothing... I'm probably going to be fine for this boss blind, right?
Yeah,
so,
and the next one probably.
It's fine to wait. Like, it's fine to not spend money and wait to, like, fish in the next store.
That is...
So maybe buying this just because it's here and because I like it is a bad idea. I don't know if I'm going to skip any...
Okay, that's really funny. So Mike seems to have a real issue with buying jokers, but has no issue with gambling on the packs, right? It's like me and Magic the Gathering. So what he said there is 100% correct. He has absolutely identified everything that I was saying there, in the sense that he is absolutely fine. There is no need for him to buy anything in the shop, and there has been no need for him to buy anything in the shop for the last 4 blinds. What he said there about, I'm fine, I could probably just skip this shop and see what's next. He didn't mention interest, but I'm going to throw that in there. Is absolutely correct. I just wish he applied that to the last 4 blinds. And also that he picked up fortune telling.
Any blinds in the future?
Yeah, that's fine. Absolutely fine. And I really like that he didn't go for the Spectral Pack.
Okay. Let's look for some pairs.
Yeah, discard those 2. You need to discard the ace there as well.
Of course, right. We'll drop the king. Well, we'll drop the queen this time. Okay. I think I've drawn 5s and 7s in all of the discards so far. The reason I'm keeping the jack is because I technically have an extra jack. I kept the king because it's malt, but maybe I shouldn't.
Yeah, okay, I really like what Mike said there, because it absolutely... Okay, so the way that he's checking what he has is really good. I love that. And the fact that he's identified that I'm keeping the jack because I know I have an extra jack, that's brilliant. But that means you need to keep the 2 10s and the jack and get rid of everything else and give yourself more discards. I don't know why he's keeping the ace. He never mentioned that. And the whole, I'm keeping a king because I have extra mult. You do not need extra mult. You have a popcorn. Don't worry about that. The only thing that'll kill you on this run is if you do not draw a 2 pair. And even then the popcorn might save you at this point. But right now you need a 2 pair, so you need to just maximize your odds on getting a 2 pair. The king should not be kept. Okay, gets his jack, so that's fine.
That'll do for now, and we'll play the 2.
Okay, really interesting. He actually is now playing to discard. So he does know about doing that. And now the popcorn will solve whatever he picks here.
Let's... I could just play 3 of a kind and finish it. I don't think I need to do that. Fuck. Should have realized that would happen. Okay. Okay.
Don't like the batter.
This is cool because we don't have any chips. I think I'm probably going to get banner. This is okay, but we have fucked around with the deck a little bit, which means... Well, straights aren't massively less likely.
Okay, so the fact that he's still talking about straights, massive alarm bells, right? Like, he should at this point, he has to realize that this is a 2-pair run. You have a scaling mult joker, and it's your only joker, because the popcorn is going to go after a while. It's your only joker that's doing anything. You should not be looking at straights. You should not be looking at anything else at this point. You've kind of forced yourself into a 2-pair run at this point because it's the only joker that's doing anything for you. Picking up a straight joker here, massive mistake. You cannot diverge now and go into a straight because the only thing that's supporting you is a 2-pair joker. The discards, don't love the discards. So Mike has correctly identified that he needs something that gives him chips. That's good. But if he hasn't manipulated his deck enough for me to think that, like, you saw in the last in the last hand, for example, when he wasn't able to just wipe out the blind with one hand, which he had been doing previous. He then had to start discarding to try and find that 2-pair, and he never actually found. Did he find it? He did find it in the end. So, but that would have been giving him 0 chips. So he just hasn't manipulated his deck enough yet to consistently get a 2-pair without discarding, and he hasn't built up a strong enough set of jokers and buffs and whatever to know that I'm just going to play 1 2-pair and I'm going to nuke the blind. So I know what he's thinking. I need chips here, but I don't love it. Listen, I don't hate it either because he does need chips.
And maybe the Buffoon pack.
Yeah, again, same thing. Stop wasting your money on gambles here.
Buffoon pack might change my decision to get banner, so I think we do Buffoon pack first. Could also not get the Buffoon pack and get this. Maybe get some more like aces, queens, that kind of thing.
The other thing to note here is if he had gotten Fortune Teller, you have, and he probably would have picked up the popcorn as well, right? At that point, you have now mult coming out your ears, right? Which means that you're going to nuke the next few ants with no problem, and you're also going to be building up. The voucher here is the interest voucher, which scales it up to 10. At that point, you now have enough mult to get you through the ants without buying anything in the shop. You buy the voucher, you start accruing a bunch of interest, and you just buy every tarot pack that you find. So you start scaling your Fortune Teller mult, and you start scaling your pair of pants mult, and that mult will carry you through, and then you start accruing interest, you accrue interest, and you use that to just find your X mult and your chips. That's it. And also the banner would have been really good there because you at that point have enough mults that you'll probably nuke a blind in one hand. So the chips would be really good. So, and then when you consider the skipping the blinds joker giving the X mult, there is an argument to say that this run is already solved. You pick up the Fortune Teller, you have your pair of pants, you pick up the joker where it gives you the times 0.25 mult, and then you pick up this banner. And you pick up the popcorn as well. So you have 5 jokers there. You nuke the next, and you pick up this voucher. You nuke the next number of ants. You probably go up to ant 6 without worrying about anything because you have so much mult. You scale up everything. You have a bunch of economy. You skip every so often to try and get up to times 2 mults. And then you lose the popcorn and you buy in whatever you need. Maybe not mult, but maybe another chips joker. Maybe an economy joker or something like that. But the point I'm trying to make here is what Mike has been offered in this run so far, and we're only on ante 3, is the run. This run has been solved, right? Most likely has been solved. He has economy with the vouchers, he has the mult, he has the chips with the banner, and he has the X mult with the skipping the blinds.
We've ended up we're not super hard in on pairs.
You are absolutely super hard in pairs. Absolutely super hard in pairs. Yeah.
Right now. Okay, $2 only if we don't use any discards. Hate that.
Yeah, I hate that too.
That one is just no good. So we're going to take the walkie-talkie. It's not super reliable, but it gives us a little bit of stuff. And I think I'm definitely going to get banner.
Yeah, I don't hate the banner here.
The 5 buckaroos. First hand is drawn face down. Isn't... Well, no, it does kind of suck. I don't really have a good strategy for that one. Okay. More pairs, straight from the off.
You shouldn't be discarding here. It's going to hurt your chips. Don't know why. You're just... Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. He's nuking this right now.
Blind. I don't know if this is a sign that I've gotten too many basic jokers. I suspect that is the problem. This isn't so bad because this will be good. I can get more discards and stuff. I think possibly the walkie-talkie. I mean, I didn't know that came in a pack, but
yeah.
Okay.
What Mike is saying here is kind of correct. As in, like, right now, yeah, it's not sustainable, right? He's correct in saying that I am destroying Anti 3, but the way I'm destroying it is not sustainable because I have popcorn and then I have the walkie talkie joker where I need 10s and 4s. But the point he should be thinking of right now is it's sustainable for right now, so I need to build things on to help. So I wouldn't worry, right? If you're an Anti 3 and you're like, oh, this is only happening because I have early game jokers, don't worry about that. As long as you've identified that, you're absolutely fine. Just identify that you're nuking it right now so you can take your time. You can save money. You can only buy stuff that you really need because you don't need stuff for right now. It's a really good place to be in. So I wouldn't be worried about it.
We have one steel card.
Don't like this.
They're relatively easy to get. I never ever buy this card. I can't imagine a world in which it's good. I'm sure there is like...
It's good in like high card, in runs that you get no problem. So like a high card or a 2-pair run.
So we could just get this and just hope that we'll find some steel cards in the future.
So unreliable.
Look for another buffoon. Could look for some playing cards. 10s or 4s.
This is a skip for me. You move on. Cool. You're absolutely fine right now. You don't need to be buying anything.
Getting less and less.
Yeah, okay. He's going to gamble again.
So we go on. The problem is, I mean, I can still sell this, I guess, for $2. That would be enough to get this afterwards. So let's open the buffoon pack and see what's there. Okay, money if we discard lots of stuff.
And this is the big issue with these packs. It just so often it just gives you crap, and you've just wasted your money. At least with tarot cards. You know, you have a chance of making your money back, or cutting your losses a bit, like Mike did earlier. But this is a problem with Joker packs, right? It just they most often give you shit, like they give you crap, and you've just wasted your money now.
I think we're getting 16 mult every time right now. I think it's fine to do this.
That's probably the one I'd pick as well, yeah.
And sell this. Pretty sure.
Okay, so there we go. Okay, so Mike has skipped the Reliant X mult in the previous blind, the one that gives you 0.25x for every skip, and he's gone and picked the extremely unreliable X mult in the steel card. You cannot rely on this, right? This would be a pickup if like I had already like 3 or 4 steel cards somehow, and it was already strong, and then I could maybe, if I added a few more steel cards, even better, great. But it is absolutely not something you pick up like Mike has done here, and then you hope to scale, because you just cannot reliably get steel cards. And what makes it, I think, what makes it even more of a mistake is he skipped the reliable one in the previous blind. Which gives you X mult if you just skip a blind, which it does hurt, but it's reliable, right? So yeah, this, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Mike picked up one more steel card.
Steel Joker, I think it's because it's a little bit of mult, and it's a thing that is not too difficult to increase.
It is difficult to increase.
We can specifically search for like steel effects. Okay. Oof. So
I mean, like, it's difficult to increase to the point where your X mult is now good enough, right? As opposed to just skipping blinds.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Now we'll play this and see how close it gets us. Pretty close.
Yep.
We can now look for 7s and 6s, maybe.
I didn't check there, but you probably should be discarding the jack then if your 7s and 6s is what you need. Maybe he had more jacks as well.
Does it? Yeah. Okay. We obviously want to level up 2-pair. That sounds pretty good right now. I have got this one before. It seems to be only good if you have like a lot of economy.
Yeah, and get it early enough.
I mean, we're on Anti-3 now, and I don't have amazing economy.
So just to point out, so Mike keeps saying he doesn't have amazing economy, right? if Mike had played it in such a way where he was thinking about interest and using shops and not just spending money on like on booster packs and stuff like that, his economy would be fine. Like it'd be decent. Yeah, fair enough. He doesn't have like an economy joker but he's talking about not having good economy here and having a voucher in the shop that will give him good economy. But as long as he's thinking about interest and stuff, which obviously he's just not thinking about that. So just to point out that this could be a run where he could have had good economy, right? You don't buy everything in the shop. You think about interest. You pick up this voucher in Ante 3 and you think about interest even more. And again, just to point out that he has been able to do that because he has been given strong enough jokers to make sure that ante 1 to 4 probably is never going to be a problem for him. Like he's playing around with discards to try and discard 3 face cards. That's how strong he is currently right now. So he could just have picked up a few jokers, picked up this voucher and be rolling in it in the interest. He could easily be up to $40 or $50 at this point, just through interest alone, and he would have had a good enough economy. So yeah, just point that out.
Maybe I'll skip that.
So this is what I mean. Just you're never going to have a good economy if you just randomly keep picking up packs and stuff like that.
Maybe I probably shouldn't. It probably wasn't optimal to use it first, but okay. I'm gonna grab a jack.
But like, I will say that
if Zale wasn't watching me right now, I'd be opening all of these spectral packs probably.
Well, that's funny, yeah, because I think already you're spending too much money on random packs. Okay, so this one you're okay. So this is the strategy I would take here. It'd be interesting to see what Mike takes here, right? Yes. Okay, and that is interesting as well because I think he did pick up the banner on a run. I should have probably highlighted this at the time. He picked up the banner in an ante that also showed him that this was the hand, this is the boss you'd be facing at the end. A boss which naturally wants you to discard at least twice at the start of a run. So yeah, the way you do this boss is it depends on what you're running, right? If you are playing a deck that is very common, so a hand. So if you're playing like a high card hand, if you're playing a 2-pair hand, or if somehow that you're playing a deck where like you have magically gotten a ton of the same suit, maybe you've opened 2 spectral packs and they've both given you the same suit, you can just play the top 4 cards. You can also, a little trick here, you can rank by suits and it will shuffle the cards even face down based on what suit they're in. And if you have like 1 or 2 showing, you can easily tell, where your suits, but that's not important here in this one. The important thing to know about Mike is he's looking for a more specific type of hand, which is a 2-pair hand. And you cannot reliably get that, especially with the deck that Mike has, which doesn't have too much manipulation. You cannot reliably get that by just playing face-down cards. He has to discard here. He absolutely has to. And he probably has to discard twice because he's looking for a 2-pair run. So that's what I would probably do. I would cut my losses here and realize you're a little bit up against it because you have a chip card that is going to lose chips based on your discards. I would probably just discard twice and try and just get through as best you can. One thing I want to mention, I want to scale back a little bit. So Mike's big problem here is he's just buying everything in the shop, right? Buying the packs in a 2-pair deck is probably not as bad as I'm making it out to be because Mike is so reliant on 2-pair because by far the best card that he has is the pair of pants and it'll only give you mult on a 2-pair. That Mike at this point probably does need to start stacking the deck a bit and focusing on a certain number of cards that he will put multiple in of. So yeah, I don't hate the buying the card packs as much. I just more hate the whole Mike's whole strategy around the shops in general, which is buying way too much than you should be buying and gambling way too much.
Here's the thing. We can still get some information.
Okay, he knows about that. That's good.
Okay, so these ones are obviously more likely to be face cards.
Yeah.
But we don't really want to discard.
I think Mike's overthinking it here.
And we also, our deck is slightly weighted towards face cards. So I think what I'm going to do here is play the top 5 cards.
No, you discard that, I think.
I could discard some cards instead, but yeah. I'd be losing out on some chips. I don't really know what's better here. I think like a couple of good 2-pairs wins, so I may as well hold them to the discards.
Okay, so here's what I would say to that, right? Mike has correctly identified that that he's more heavily weighted towards face cards. So if you really want to gamble here, which Mike has done, what you do is you discard the second half of your deck, which is more likely going to be the number cards, the lower cards. You see what you get, and if you get a bunch of face cards then on the draw, then you can then maybe gamble with your face down cards, which you know are going to be higher cards, with your face up cards, which are hopefully face cards, right? So say you discard 5 cards, you get a jack, a queen, and a king, or something like that, right? And then like a 2 and a 7 or something. You play the jack, king, queen, and then you play the top 2 of the face down cards. If you want to gamble like that, listen, I don't know the optimal strategy to the house. The way I play it, and I think the way is best, is you just discard. You just take it. You take the hit. You go, okay, well this is a discard type of boss. I have to discard once, probably twice, and then I'll figure out what I'm going. The really nice thing that Mike has going here is he has a strong enough deck to nuke this boss on one set of 2 pairs. So he doesn't need to be playing these games here.
Particularly unlucky.
I mean,
yeah, okay, my deck is fine. So in that case, I'm going to do that.
I just point out that like if his deck wasn't as good, or if he was playing, I don't know, even at a higher difficulty, to be honest, this list of jokers is so strong right now that he's probably fine. But just to think, if it wasn't as good, this strategy I think is how you lose against the house. I don't think you want to be like the house always wins when you play it like that. I think. Again, you have to be discarding the 2. I don't know why you're not discarding the 2 here. Unless, did I miss him checking that he has extra 2s? Okay, good.
Okay, so.
Oh, don't. Oh, that is
a lot of.
I mean, yeah, he's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no, I think that's correct.
And
then he's so much mult at this point that I think it's fine.
Oof. Does this just win me the thing?
He's 3 hands. Yeah, he'd be absolutely fine.
It does not. Okay, that does that. Ooh, that's a little bit close. I mean, it probably wasn't close, but it could have broken bad.
I think might play that really, like, apart from the first hand. I think what he did there in discarding the 3 face cards. Ooh.
I know Zale likes this card. I don't know if it is still good at this point. Kind of feel like I want to get rid of this Joker anyway, so I wouldn't mind replacing it. But it's not forever. Let's see what the Arcana has for us.
Of course.
Okay.
Oh no.
Wildcards. We could kind of bump up some cards to create sort of way to imbalance the deck more towards pairs. We could add some mult. I quite like that idea. Glass card or lucky card. I think I'm going to turn these 2 queens into mult cards. It's only a little bit, but just like having more of it in the top of the deck feels nice. Don't really need wild.
What I probably do at this point is check my deck, figure out what my more common cards are. It was looking like face cards, but if there is, for example, say Mike has more 5s than normal, I'd probably pick a strength card here and level up the 4s to 5s, right? Because at this point you want to be honing in on certain numbers. You don't want just a wide deck of random numbers when you're running 2 pairs. You want a few. You don't want to hone in on 1 or 2. You need several cards that you have multiple of. So it's easier to identify what you need to discard in a hand to get the thing that you want. You know, if you have a bunch of 5s, you want to hold on to the 1 5 and discard everything else, to get the 5. So listen, this is probably isn't a mistake. I would just say here, probably should be checking your deck at this point and being able to identify what are your 2 pair, sticks, and see, can you manipulate this list of cards with a strength card to maybe make that more. But yeah,
I don't know.
I don't like the glass card here though.
I suppose we could go glass actually.
Okay, don't like glass.
We have like lots of aces, for example. We don't care if it breaks, and it would be nice to have.
Do care. So okay, so that's an important point, right? When you're running a 2-pair deck or a 3 of a kind deck or anything like that, a deck that you need multiple of a certain card of, right? You can never have too many of that card. you want to be destroying the cards that you don't care about. Okay, so first off, the simple fact of like we've a lot of these already. It doesn't matter if it breaks. That's wrong, right? You need to identify how many you have and then hold on to them and make more of them, right? So in a 2-pair deck, like I said this before, you probably want 5 or 6 cards that are your go-to cards, and then you want to figure what they are, write them down or something, or memorize them, and then keep copying them. Every time you see a chance to have one of those 6 cards, get another one in, right? And that'll make your 2-pair decks number one, more consistent, but it'll also really help you out in your actual games, because if you've a row of cards, and say you've 2 10s, right, and then you've 2 10s, and then you've a bunch of other individual cards, right, you might find, oh, I don't know what to keep and what to discard. And I absolutely do think Mike has that problem, because he's only discarding a few cards every time and he's not drawing enough. If you've identified 6 cards that are your go-to cards, then you'd be like, okay, I have 2 10s and I have an ace, a king, a 5, a 7, a 2. I know in my deck I've actually stocked in a bunch of aces. I'm going to keep the 2 10s, I'm going to keep the ace, and I'm going to discard everything else. And then you've a really good chance of then drawing that other ace to get it in. So yeah, that's... So glass card here is really bad, unless you want to stick it on a card that you don't want. But then it's hard to proc it, right? It's not. You're better off just deleting that card with the bat or whatever. Don't stick unless you're really struggling for X mults. I would do this towards the end of the game. If you know that I need a bit more X mults to push me over the line, then I would start glassing up my cards. At this point, no. You're essentially just deleting a card that you need for no reason, because you're already destroying the blinds at the moment.
But then it only mults at the end of the 2-pair.
And so yeah, that's correct as well. The mult's not even that good, like, to be honest, with glass.
Firing with the ace of spades or the walkie-talkies activating. It's not amazing. Maybe I should just go safe. Wrong. Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this. Okay. What did you do?
Joker.
Okay, so yeah. I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to go back because this video is going to be long enough, but I'm pretty sure that Mike had enough money to buy the ice cream and to buy the voucher that brings the ante back. I need to remember one of these names. And that is the correct shop choice. Maybe. I mean, okay, so first off, you need to be buying this voucher. If Mike doesn't buy this voucher, it's a huge mistake, right? So this voucher, what it does is it'll take one of your hands away from you, your max hands, but it'll bring you back an ant. And what that does is it doesn't just bring you back, it brings you back with all of their like scoring, right? So Mike is already absolutely destroying the ants at the moment. If he brings them back one more, he'll continue to destroy them. He needs to figure out his jokers. So this gives you an extra ante to figure out your jokers. Really good. And then even more, he knows he's in a 2-pair deck, but he has not leveled up his 2-pair that much. Gives you more chance to do that. And finally, and most importantly, he has a scaling joker. I'm going to cough, sorry. 39. He has a scaling joker. And this extra ante gives you more chance to scale that joker, right? Gives you another ante, you play more 2-pairs, you scale it up by more. This is a huge voucher for Mike. The reason I say it might have been a little bit of a mistake is by buying the pack. If you're going to sell the card that gives you the dollars, you can bring in ice cream and you can bring in the voucher. But I think it's a mistake in general. I would have just bought the voucher here. Another reason why it's really good. You're crushing this ante, you're going to crush the previous ante, so it gives you more chance to discard the 3 face cards, right, and bump up your economy. You don't need the ice cream at this point. I don't think it's so much of a case that it's too late in the game. Ice cream can be really good really late in the game if you're starving on chips. So you could absolutely pick this up going into the final boss because it's an extra plus 100 chips, right? But the reason why it's not good here is because you're already crushing. You're already crushing these antes. You don't need one of these jokers that like scales down the more you play it. It's there to like prop you up, and you do not need propping up. The massive pick here is the voucher. You have to pick the voucher here. And he's missed it. Okay.
I have seen this be really good. I mean, it would be good, for example.
Okay, so that's the second massive mistake. The first one was not picking Fortune Teller. The second one was not picking this voucher that brings back the ante.
if you played like a, I mean, it wouldn't be amazing, but if you played like a 10 first, it would trigger this twice.
And if you consider that if you had the fortune teller, going back another ante would have given him more chances of tarots.
$4, which would only allow me to get like maybe like a tarot card or something that came up. I could get the Celestial pack. I mean, I've kind of completely hemmed myself into this, like just playing 2 pairs.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's not a mistake. That's absolutely fine. You do need to figure out what hand you're playing, and you're a 2-pair hand. That's fine.
Or 2 pair.
He's gotten lucky. Okay, so let's just talk about this real quick. Okay. Gambling on planets is usually a huge waste. It's one of the packs that Mike, I noticed, hasn't been picking up, which I think is been a really good choice of his, because it literally does nothing for you unless you get super lucky, right? The only time I would pick up these planet packs is, number one, I was absolutely desperate and I needed to level up my hand because for whatever reason, I was just, I was playing in a run where I need that extra boost and my jokers aren't doing it for me. And leveling up a hand is a really good way to boost. It depends on what the hand is. Like, you need to level up a high card run quite a lot, but a few levels in 2-pair will do you really nicely. The other way I would do it is if I had a good bit of money and I was looking at those jumbo packs. So the bigger spectral packs that give you more than 3 choices, you have a better chance of hitting the cards you need there. The spectral, it worked out for Mike here, but it's a mistake. You shouldn't just be randomly gambling on a 1 out of 3 planet cards, because the chances of hitting the planet that you need is slim.
It's not amazing, but it's not nothing. Okay, base chips are multi-hard, so that is unfortunate. We could skip this blind, actually. Let's do the small blind for now. Okay. I think maybe I shouldn't have gotten rid of that face earning money card, because like the steel card is not really needed, and I'm gonna completely overblow this now.
Yeah.
This is just gonna overkill probably. Yeah. And I don't have any scaling yet either. I don't have any chance-based stuff. That would have been nice. I mean, we could still go for it. We do have more face cards than normal, so making a straight up here would be a little bit easier.
I cannot believe Mike is still thinking about pivoting. The only thing that's keeping me in this game now
it's not hard.
Is the 2-pair run.
Very similar to how it would be your odds of getting a straight normally. It's just that we don't have any bonuses if we do make a straight. We've got 22 mult or something.
Yes. Okay. That's good. He's identified that. Yeah. He's super reliant on that 22 mult.
I don't think I'm going to do anything here.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, obviously
really
you pick up the Balatro.
Do this.
No, the extra $9 is not worth another shot.
$9 from this fight.
And it's not worth scaling up your pair pants.
Do I want to see the store with less money, or do I want to fight this boss and have more money for the store afterwards? I know Zale doesn't skip blinds very often. I think this one I'm going to skip though.
No, that's a mistake. So, skipping blind, I kind of spoke about it earlier, but skipping blinds is okay, but you just need to remember the opportunity cost, right? Which is you're losing a shop and you're losing money, right? So, Mike, by beating this guy, would have come close to, by beating this blind, if he did it quick enough, would have come close to the $9 anyway, right? He probably would have picked up $6 or $7. So you're skipping a shop for $2 essentially. That is absolutely not worth it at all. And you're missing out on scaling your pants even more. Skipping shops are good when the reward that you get is worth it, right? So, at this point, what I'd be looking for is, the polychromatic Joker might be good here, an extra X mult. If you beat a boss, you get $25. That would be really nice for Mike, stuff like that. But no, this is the opportunity cost here far outweighs the extra maybe $3 Mike has made here.
Okay, decent start. Yep, that'll do. All right, cool.
Okay. I'm going to stop the video here. This video is going on long enough. We still have half of the video to go, and I don't want this to be a fucking 3-hour thing. So I'm going to stop it here, and I'm going to then record the second half of the video afterwards. to sum up the stuff so far, I've kind of said it already, but like I guess the three big mistakes Mike is making is he's not thinking about his economy enough, right? So he's not thinking about interest. He's buying too many like random things in the shops. The second, then, and that's just a kind of just an overall gameplay mistake Mike is making. I would just really scale back what I'm buying from the shops. Stop buying random packs and think about like jokers that I need and stuff like that. And most importantly, think about the interest that you're going to get. Scale up your economy. The second one is the fortune teller. That would have absolutely scaled. That would have sorted his mult. I mentioned that before. And then the last one was the voucher that brings back the ant. We talked about why that is so important. How many good things that could be doing for Mike. Then there's other things like I think picking up this steel joker. We can see right now it hasn't done anything. We haven't been able to scale it up at all. Whereas he's already skipped one blind without even having the joker that benefits from skipping. So he probably would have skipped at least one more. That would have given him an extra 0.5 X mult already, and then was there anything else? I think those are the main ones essentially, and just in general the fact that I think at this point Mike has identified that he is super locked into two pair, but the fact that he was kind of looking at the straight cards earlier on when it was so clear that he had a two pair run going. But he actually never committed to it, so I'm not going to count that as a mistake. That's absolutely fine. But I do think at this point the run is solved. It had the correct choices being made. You picked up the fortune teller, you pick up the X mult on skipping a bind, you bring back the ant. Hell, you could bring back the ant, skip 2 blinds, and fight the boss, and you now have a decently strong X mult. So yeah, those are the big things so far. We'll see how this run goes. He still has a chance to win this run. He just needs to get a few things together. He has less time to do that now, but this isn't a failed run or anything like that. He could absolutely beat this run. He just needs to figure out maybe a little bit more X mult, and then a little bit more mult, and then he might be okay. But yeah, we're going to stop it there. We're going to record the next half of the video afterwards. But yeah, thanks for watching, folks. Thank you, Mike, for sending in the video. I find this really, really interesting. I hope I haven't been too cutting with words or anything like that. But I hope you find this useful. Thanks.